Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other. So grateful to have all of you here, and especially our presenter this morning, Amy Kauffman. She'll be her topic this morning is about how to spark your romance, the art of flirting and the magic of romance. So, such a great topic. So, with that, Amy, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to choose this topic. Thank you
Sure,
again.
sure. Whoa. My whole screen went crazy. Hold up, people. Can you see me? Can you see my screen? I don't know what's happened.
You need to share.
Okay, I just have to give me one. I lost my Zoom for 1 second. Forgive me.
Did you just share it?
I think I'm sharing it now.
Okay.
There you are.
Okay, we can see it.
All right, let me put it in the present mode. Okay.
Yay.
Can see it.
So you can see it?
Yes.
Awesome. So welcome everybody. I'm Amy Kauffman, and I wanted to talk today about the art of flirting and the magic of romance. I'm hoping it will be fun and uplifting. It's really meant to be an engaging discussion that I'll just lead us in. I'm hoping that we'll all share so that we can inspire and empower each other, wherever you are in your romantic life. We're going to look at what flirting and romance are. We're going to look at some common misunderstandings about them. We'll explore flirting and romance through a lens of literature and movies. And you'll discover how to ignite or rekindle passion and connection at any stage of life. In case you haven't met me already, because I know I haven't really been here in a while. And thank you, Rennie, for introducing me. I am Amy Kauffman, and I've been a social worker for more than 30 years, pretty much my entire adult life. I've always loved helping people to live happier, more fulfilling lives. And a little history about my own relationships. When I was 22, I was in social work school and I was working with abused and neglected children, which I loved. And I happened to go out one evening with a group of friends, and I was assaulted in a very public setting by one of the friends in this group. And it rocked me to my core. The black and blue marks, the black and blue handprints around my neck were traumatic, but the longer lasting trauma of feeling insecure with people around me and in public places was much longer lasting. I was 22 and I was working with abused and neglected children. And what this did was it actually made me a better, more compassionate social worker. I had a new understanding, a new set point of awareness for touch and closeness to people. But I was 22 and I didn't want this trauma to really impact me and keep me away from relationships as an adult. I wanted to trust a man to touch me. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have a family. I really didn't want to keep this assault from my dream of being in a safe, long-term relationship. And I wrote a list of all the characteristics that I would want in my future partner and husband long before I ever even knew about dream building and the formula for success and how to create all that I want in my life. I did this envisioning work and I created, it's about a page and a half long, I still have it, a list of characteristics and traits that I would want in my husband. And the assault happened in March. I met my husband in August, the very beginning of August. And there he was, like encompassing, all of these things on the list. Although when I read it, to him and it says tall and this, he's like, that's not me. I don't know what you're thinking, but that's not me. But it is, it's him. Anyway, we were dubbed the happy couple and we got married. We had daughters, we had the home, we had the dream life, my dream life for 20 years, it seemed. And 20 years into our marriage, he told me he didn't think he wanted to be married anymore. And I was devastated, really shocked. And I was terrified. I didn't want to be divorced. I didn't want to break up my family. I didn't know how to support myself. I wanted to figure out what was not working and I wanted to fix it. And that was the beginning of a whole new direction for me. See, I had a lot of skills. I had a lot of skills as a social worker. I was able to help people in many ways, but I didn't have specific relationship skills to help myself heal my own marriage. And I didn't have the tweak of skills that I needed for success, because clearly whatever I had been doing, whatever we were doing, wasn't creating the connection that was needed. And my husband refused to get help, so I was on my own to get support. And I'm a determined, stubborn person, and I stand for what I believe in. So I forged forward, and I was determined to save our marriage, even if he wasn't on board, and even if he still, in the end, wanted to leave. And I found myself mentors, and I studied, and I experimented, and that was when I got certified as a life coach. And then again, I certified as a relationship coach. Actually, it was the other order around. I certified first as a relationship coach, and then I went to school and I certified as a life coach. But I experimented with these skills and I found myself mentors, and I did turn my marriage around. And I changed my life exponentially. And that was 10 years ago. Since then, I hung my own shingle, and I founded Happy by Heart, a program to help women. I created a program called Marriage Fix to help other women save their marriage, but more importantly, to learn to love themselves so that they can be successful achieving anything that they envision for themselves. And the women who have the greatest results with us are the ones who really want to reconnect, the ones who are tired of feeling lonely, ones who aren't sure if it's possible, they aren't sure if it's worth their effort, and especially the women whose husbands aren't on board. So Happy by Heart is a full service coaching entity. I serve women and some couples who want to up-level their happiness and achieve new heights of success. I'm a heart collector, hence the name Happy by Heart. I've collected heart rocks for a zillion years, but I started saving them in 2015 when my marriage fell apart, and I was looking for signs. Like we all walk around when in times of troubles and we're like, show me a sign that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm in the right direction. And these hearts would just show up, and they would show up in all different, mostly rocks, but they would also show up. There would be buttons, there would be papers, all different kinds of things. So I've been saving them. I love. So that's about me. And I wanted to share this art of romance and flirting because it's fun and it's light and it's happy. And I just want to spread love and cheer. So with that, let's begin. Everything is relationships, everything. Relationship to ourselves, relationship to spirit or God, higher power, relationships to our pets. You could probably see mine in the back, laying on the couch. Relationship to our parents, to our children, our friends, coworkers, and so forth. We're not islands unto ourselves. We're connected, and everything we do or think impacts our connectivity to one another. Relationships are everything, but they all begin with the relationship to self. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're willing to tune into yourself and connect to that part of you that really comes alive with love. So the question is, do you remember the first time you felt that aliveness of attraction? Think about it for a second. And I just want to tell you, and then we'll go around if anyone wants to share about the first time that they felt that aliveness. But the very first boy that I ever kissed, I was just about 16 years old. And this boy lived on Lover's Lane. I swear to you, he lived on Lover's Lane. His name was Mike, and he was adorable. And he called me Juliet, like Romeo and Juliet. He was a flirty, romantic, sexy teenager, way more advanced than I, and we didn't last more than a hot second because he wanted more. But wow, just funny. So what about you? Who wants to share a story about their first awakening to attraction? What was it? What do you remember? What created the spark for you?
For me, it was I was this is my second marriage. I met Bill, my husband now, at a single dance. I remember it was they were playing it's a single event. So they have this game to what do you call that the game where you just for to get to know each other kind of game. uh,
Icebreakers.
Icebreaker with this lock and the key. Like the woman would get the key and the man will have the lock, and then you go from one person to the next and try to open the lock. And I got, some lock will open, some lock will not. If you have the lock open, you go to the drawing bowl. You put in your name there, and then they'll do drawing at the end. And the music started, and I was busy. I was having fun with this lock and key thing. I wasn't paying attention to the man until the music started. There was it a band? No, a DJ. And I noticed the room was empty. I was looking for a man to dance with. Nobody asked me to dance. I was busy with the key and the lock. And I saw this man standing in the corner by himself with a glass of Coke. He doesn't drink soda. I didn't know what it was, but so I asked him to dance, and he hesitated at first. And then he said yes, and we started dancing. And then he said, I can't dance to this music. Do you want to just, you know, sit down and chat? You want to just chat? That's what we did, and he never left me. That was the beginning of the thing, and he stayed with me to the end. And then he asked me for my phone number, and that's the beginning to the end.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah. So I remember that feeling of oh my gosh, you can't sleep kind of thing or whatever. So that was my story. Victoria, you're next.
Thank you, Rainey.
Well, I'm still single. Thank you, Amy, for doing actually this presentation on romance. 'Cause I love romance. But I'm still single. But what I want to say in here is the feeling of love we never lose. We just let ourselves being drift away with the sadness and everything else. And it's okay to express the sadness and the grief of losing a relationship, but at one point in time, self-love, that's all matters. At the end of it all, the person is not here anymore. So what are you gonna do? And so I have the what I want to say is the feeling of love is always here. I'm 58, but last year I've experienced again the feeling of falling in love, you know, and that is to me magical. I have a lot of
Yeah.
faith in love. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Hey,
Thank you.
Amy, if you want to stop the share while we're talking here, that way we could see each other's, and then you can go back to the slide. Don't do anything to the slide, just stop the share, and then
Okay.
we can see the faces, and then we can go back. Okay, let's have Tamara
Yeah,
next.
I can't seem to find, they changed things on here. I can't find the raise your hand thing button anymore.
Okay, it's okay. I
I'm
saw
like,
you.
you know, it's I love this topic of relationships. So this is fun because I've been married, it'll be 34 years in September. And the best part of our relationship actually has been the last couple years. Our first encounter was I was a massage therapist, and my husband had hurt himself in the Navy, and he had to come in and see me. And he would come in every week, and I'd give him a massage, and he would be great. And then he kept trying to get me to go out with him for like 2 years, and I wouldn't do it on my plans, right? So finally one day he came in and he's getting ready to leave, and he has this posture, and he's like this, and he's walking out, and he goes, so the other ladies there were like, you should go out with him, you should go out with him, you know. And I was like, no. And he had this posture. He goes, I don't think I'm coming back. And I said, well, why not? And he goes, because when I'm here, I'm in heaven for an hour, and then I have to leave. And I was like, oh, broke my heart. Like, I was like, all right. So then I put him through the ringer, right? I'm like, I had a child. I'd already had a divorce. I'm not looking, right? I was just like, okay, I'll date you. I'll see what you're about. But it was like from that moment on, we became closer and closer, and then we got married. And then after that was issues. And then about 27 years in, I'm walking out the door. I'm done. And then I had been in coaching, but not really focusing on relationships, focusing on business. But because of the business trying to rise, everything has to come into alignment. And our relationship we got a whole new spark. So talking about that spark, it was just like, now we go on walks together. We go out together. We spend time together, and it's not all about work anymore, and kids. So that's, yeah. So the spark is really important to keep in the relationship, I believe.
Thank
Love
you,
it. Thank you,
Tamara.
Tamara.
Yeah, I think what's the thing about the relationship, it's you're gonna have ups and downs. I don't care how good your relationship is, but over time you grow apart, and if you don't spend that time to cultivate your relationship, you grow apart, and you do your thing, he does his thing, and then who knows? Anyway, Carol, you're next.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I met my husband in a self-development seminar that was very popular at the time. And in these self-development seminars, we would have a break. Well, actually, before we had a break, at times the facilitators would break up the students in groups and we would be given an exercise, and we would be given homework. When we were given homework, we were encouraged to exchange phone numbers, and then during the week, we would call each other to do our homework with each other. So in this environment, it was not a pickup environment, although that was happening, of course, when you get men and women together. So it was very normal to exchange phone numbers with other participants in the seminar. So during the break, this man comes up to me, and he was not anybody that, it was not a man that I would have considered. He didn't look like the type of man that I would like to date or had been dating. But we had a very nice conversation. And when I went back to my seat, he came and sat next to me. There was another break. We had another nice conversation, and he asked me for my phone number again. So I thought, okay, you know, this is the situation here. We're in personal development, and we exchange phone numbers. He's not anybody that, you know, it's not about that anyway. So he called me, and we had, you know, we had the longest conversation about every topic. And he called me again and again, and each conversation were like an hour or more. And I thought, isn't that nice? Here's a guy who just wants to be friends. Isn't that nice? Finally, I have a guy who is just a friend. Then he, at one point, he invited me to meet him we were in New York City at the time, at a Broadway review, a free Broadway review at Lincoln Center. And I thought, wow, this guy is really interesting. He really has his thumb on the pulse of New York City beat. Well, things got a little more romantic, and I was still not really, well, he was trying to be more, I was still not considering him as somebody that I wanted to have a relationship with. Then one day on a phone call, he said something that was very provocative. And I'm not going to repeat it because it was very provocative. And it wasn't until then that he stepped out and really made a hard step into the next step that really got me considering him as well, it got me like intrigued and excited, and, you know, thinking of him in a different way. Anyway, so the postscript is we've been married 41 years.
Wow.
I love that.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Dr. Paul, welcome. How would you like to be called?
Paul is my surname, so it's Dr. Nimata.
What is it?
Paul is my surname, so I'm usually referred to as Dr.
How would you like us to call you?
Nimata is fine. Nimata is fine.
Marta?
Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Welcome. Good to have you here.
This is an interesting subject. I'm single, which I'm perfectly happy with, and I've got a lot of interests around me. I know what I want, and because I'm also independent, I love who I am, what I do. I'm there for people, and I love spending time with me, my friends, my family. And it's interesting because it's something I've been reflecting on a lot, because I also coach a lot of clients, and it's interesting with the women how boundaries are really essential. You've really got to know, you know, you've got to honor and be sacred to yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And a lot of women, including men, are not sure, you know, because it's like they compromise. And it's okay to compromise, but when you don't know someone, there has to be, you know, that little bit of spark, interest with authenticity, sincerity, yeah? And that your intuition is always telling you So it's guiding you in that way. But for me, when you were talking, Amy, and I'm really sorry for what happened to you, because that's just, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But many of my friends have disclosed what happened to them as well, with harassments and so forth. But I remember when my first love, and I was a bit of a late developer, probably because of my culture and upbringing. I was at university and made friends. And one of my friends, she was doing a completely different course to me, but she invited me out with her friends to another university in the back of beyond of the country, of the UK. I'm in the UK, by the way, so it's middle of the afternoon. And I was just sat there talking, laughing, had my orange juice. That's just me. And then this gentleman just walked in, yeah, and I was like, oh, who is it? Who is he? And his eyes and my eyes locked. And it was if the universe was saying, this is it. And everybody noticed. The whole table noticed. And he was in a relationship. So, but he changed that. And we became friends, which I thought was, yeah, this is great. This is friends, you know. I just thought it was friends, just like Carol said, because as women, we like friends. We are women. We like to talk. We like to share, and it's always nice. And I've been brought up in a patriarchal society, so you know, I was used to the dad friendship, the brothers, and so forth. And but for me, love it's so special and sacred. And for me, also, I'm a one woman, one man kind of guy. So that for me is really important, which I think, I feel in my perception has been lost in society, and we need to connect back to that beautiful essence of that purity of our soul, our physical body, and how we can engage in that with such sacredness and obviously with maturity, so we can develop that. And we're still friends. We're still friends, even though we had our ups and downs. He always makes sure we're always connected. So who knows what's going to happen? But one thing, who knows? But one thing that really has surprised me was that I go to many conferences and seminars, and I remember a few years back, 10 years back, a lot of the American doctors were coming over, and we all met up in a seminar in Spain, in Malaga. And there was a lot of American chiropractors, medical doctors, Australians as well. And my friends were messaging me, oh, we've got you a table for breakfast. You know, we've got you a seat. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm coming down. Off I go down. I go and get my breakfast. I turn around and there's 4 men around me. And I'm like, and I'm checking them out, and I'm like looking at the hands. 2 of them have got wedding rings. And I'm like, no. No, that's for me, you know, that's for me, you know, I'm not judging them, but for me, that's honoring. That's where they are. I appreciate and respect they've come forward, but I'm not going into that territory. Yeah. So, and the other 2 were they're all chatting away. And I find I'm British born, even though Indian, and I find American men very forward, which is like, whoa, we're not used to this as British women. But later on that evening, an American doctor he was communicating, but it wasn't a language I was used to. It was, and the language was a little bit what I saw in American movies, which I thought was in American movies, and it was too sexually orientated. And I was a little bit, I did freeze and shocked. And then the other doctors noticed, and his comment was like, well, you've got the pick of the choice here, don't you know? And he was trying to make it like he would be the best one. And I was just horrified because the language was not, it was sexually orientated. Yeah. And I
brought up so many of the pieces. Everybody, I took notes, right, on what everyone said.
And the other doctors were like, look, she, and then he accused me of teasing him. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And then the other doctors came in, and two of them were the presidents of the associations in America, and they said, she's the real deal. She's not teasing anyone. And they were trying to calm him down. And I looked, and I could see the other doctors like, look, she's the real deal. And I thought, what is he talking about? What is this real deal? So I started scanning the room, and I thought, I have to get out of here because I didn't feel safe. I saw my colleagues. I grabbed my drink and I said, oh, I'm just going to have to go to the bathroom. Went to my colleague, explained to him, look, I'm tired now. I'm going to my room. And off I disappeared and didn't come back. But for me, love is that special bond where you feel this immense gooiness and love. And it's unveilingly unconditional between you and your partner. And I treasure that. I treasure
Thank
that.
you, Leonardo. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
think the only person who didn't have a chance to speak.
Omeka, do you want to say something, or you rather not?
Omeka?
Yeah, hey. Yeah, I don't know what I wanted to say. I was like, what am I going to say? I'm like, I don't know. But love is a beautiful thing. I actually got married with the whole ceremony and all of that. 30-something years ago to a man. And I've been in relationships with women, and I just am taking a rest, a very long rest, 15-year rest, and just loving being with myself. And I'm at the point where I am wanting some company, and I don't know how that will manifest. And being that I'm here with my mom and just everything, but like just more friends, and a lover would be great, or a massage partner. So this time around, I'm very clingy to people. And to me, that's being a little insecure with myself. So to focus on myself is a good thing for me. And it's not like I need someone else, but I'm open to having someone that really cares about me and loves me and wants to be around me till we transition. I'm at that point, 63. It's kind of like, okay, hello. So, yeah, in the meantime, it's me and mom and my roommate. She kind of fulfills some of that because I've known her for like 25 years, and we have a very close relationship. And yeah, it's sad when she leaves and then she comes back, and so it's very fluid kind of. And she brings dogs, and so yeah, there's a lot of love around me, and I'm learning how to love more as well, and not be so. People used to say I was mean a lot, and it's like, oh God, I guess that was my protection, being mean. So believe it or not.
Oh, Omeka, I can relate to that. And you know what? It's so fun. What I love about this topic is that everybody, no matter where we are in our journey of connectivity with others, when we talk about love, every single person on their turn, it lifts and it makes you smile, right? There's a boost to it, no matter where we are, even whether we're like super duper happy where we are, or we want something more, or we don't even know what we want, but whenever we talk about it, it lifts us. So I'm going to go back to share my screen and move us along. Let me see how to do this again. Hopefully it's sharing. I don't know why it didn't go the full. Okay. So what is flirting anyway, right? And we've touched on so many of these as we shared: a light touch, a smile, a wink, and maintaining or holding that eye contact, compliments, gentle, playful teasing, exposing your shoulder. That's so old-fashioned, right? The shoulder. Humor, showing genuine interest, dressing to feel good about yourself and honor yourself. being your authentic self, feeling comfortable to be your authentic self, dancing, dirty talk, love notes, gifts. These are some of the things that communicate, because that's really what flirting is. It's a way of communicating that's a signal, whether verbal or nonverbal, that we're interested or that we're attracted, right? There's a certain notice and awareness of another person. And I like to think about it as, we don't have to decide if this is our forever person. All you have to know about it is this somebody I want to spend an hour of time with? That's it, right? So if there's somebody of interest that you want to spend a little more time with, or you want to get to know, any one of these things is something you can do. You can express it. Hey, I'd love to talk to you for a little while. You can exchange numbers. You could come right out and say it. You've got a great smile. You could just smile at them. When you're talking, if you notice, when you're talking to somebody, sometimes you lean in and you touch like the side of your arm to that person, side to side, or you reach your hand out to them. Maybe you squeeze a hand. All of those signals are ways that we indicate interest, a liking of somebody. And it doesn't have to be sexual, but it could be. And because of that, well, there are a lot of misunderstandings that can happen. You know, messages can be crossed, misinterpreted. One of them is that flirting equals commitment. You can only flirt with somebody that you're committed to. And that's not true. Flirting's lighthearted. It's silly. It's fun. It's meant to break the ice, like Rennie had, right? That whole lock and key is a way of flirting that's comfortable within boundaries, that's not too personal and deep in sharing, but it's meant to break the ice so that you can engage, you can express affection, likability for another person, interest. Another misunderstanding is that flirting is only for single people. Flirting is actually essential in long-term relationships. And like Tamara said, she's been married, it'll be 34 years. And she said that even when they went through troubles not that many years ago, the last few years, right, there's a spark, there's a new spark, and they walk together, they spend time together. It's not just about work and kids, it's about enjoying company with each other, likability. So flirting is essential. Another misunderstanding is that flirting is deceptive. But flirting can actually strengthen bonds. It can improve communication. You can lightheartedly joke around with someone, you know, you give them an elbow and you laugh, and you can make light of things to break the ice, to open up a conversation. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be deceptive that you're just trying to capture somebody's attention. Who was it that said, Namarda, I think it was you that said that somebody said that you were teasing, right? That's under the flirting is deceptive. And it doesn't have to be, but we can misinterpret signals from each other. Another misunderstanding is that romance requires grand gestures. Romance does not need to require grand gestures. Small things, right? We always say it's the little things. A little note doesn't have to be a long pledging love letter, but a little note. Maybe even it's a morning text that just says good morning. And when you get a good morning text, what does that tell you? It doesn't necessarily say to you, oh, he's trying to get my attention or she's trying to get my attention because she wants something from me. No, if you get a morning text that says good morning, it means that somebody woke up thinking about you. And how nice is that to be thought of? Right? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. And one other misunderstanding I wanted to touch on is that men and women flirt the same way. There are some differences. I mean, sure, men and women can flirt the same way, and using those same 14 things that we just looked at, everyone can do the same thing. But men tend to be more direct, as Namarta experienced. Men tend to be more direct, and women tend to be more subtle. And we probably know that about ourselves too, in how we engage. Flirting can be innocent and fun. It can have sexual connotations and intent, but for the most part, flirting is about laughing and paying attention and showing affection and interest. Where did you learn about flirting? You know, it's not one of the things that we necessarily think about. But we get messages from all kinds of places. We learn from all different kinds of sources. We learn from our personal experiences. We learn from our observations with friends or family and our peers. We learn from cultural influences like movies and TV and books. So let's take a look at some of the books. Maybe you've read some of them. Take a look at these and see if any of these had an influence or impact on you. Did anybody read any of these books? I know some of them were like high school reading when I was growing up. Okay, anyone read the Bible, Song of Songs in the Bible, Canterbury Tales, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, which, by the way, I loved when I was in like 8th grade, and I met that guy Mike Satow who who lived on Lover's Lane, which is so funny. Pride and Prejudice, Peyton Place, Lolita, Lady Chatterley's Lover. Anyone read any of those? What about these? Some of them became movies too. The Thornbirds, a real popular one. The Bridges of Madison County, Outlander, The Notebook, 50 Shades of Grey, Me Before You, The Kiss Quotient, It Ends With Us. Anyone want to share about any of these books or that they may have read or seen the movie of, and what you took away, what you noticed about the relationships in there and the romance, or something that you picked up on in that?
I saw 50 Shades of Grey in a movie, and that became the movie, right? Because of the connotation, the sexual innuendo, and how, but
Did you like it, Rennie?
I like it. It's quite you know, it was the what is it? The word
Provocative.
yes, provocative. And people talk about it. And
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, you know, what a classic that it was. That is still.
Yeah.
That was the first book, The 50 Shades of Grey was the first book that my husband and I read together. And that was kind of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Tamara, when you made, I just want to, if you don't mind, if I ask you, how did you have that conversation to read that together?
Well, that's a good question. It's been a few years. I know it was popular for a while, and then and I'm like, if it's popular, I don't even care about it. But then a few years later, I'm like, oh, I see why it's popular, you know. So it was like a few years later, my friend was telling me that she was reading it and that it was helping her in her marriage. And so then I'm like, okay. So we started reading it together. I think I told them, I was like, hey, so this is helping them in their marriage. Let's try it out. And it did help us in our marriage. So for, you know, like Rini was saying, things are up and down. And that was one of the good points in our marriage.
Hey, so like that, right? That was the flirting piece that helped open the door for more connection and affection. Because that book, I mean, aside that it was very sexual, there was so much innuendo and flirtiness, and you know, took that innocent young girl and gave her experiences that were like sort of beyond her and brought her into a new level of knowing, right? And so for those of us looking to grow and expand ourselves, it was a way of opening up conversation that otherwise may have been uncomfortable or embarrassing or challenging. And it gave us this, I'll say crutch, but it gave us, you know, something to lean on to open it up and make it easier. And I think that that's exactly what is good about flirting, right? It helps open up and bring us closer and just express an interest and a conversation go further. Like I always say, just looking for, is this something I want to spend an hour of my time with in it and move forward? And then again, do I want to spend another hour here? And it helps you discuss boundaries and closeness and what you like and what you don't like. And it gives you that safe opening to have those conversations because you can lean on the book. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. You know, flirting reinforces attraction and desirability. It maintains excitement and novelty. It's lighthearted, keeps the energy light rather than heavy and serious. Let's look at these movies and TV shows that were really popular. I know that you've probably seen these. When Harry Met Sally. I mean, who doesn't remember those conversations about male and female relationships that Harry and Sally had, right? About who could be friends and the flirting and faking it and the scene in the diner. And all of that, right? That just brought new levels of conversation and what it means to be intimate. Pride and Prejudice, Casablanca. 10 Things I Hate About You, Crazy Stupid Love, and the TV shows, Friends, The Office, Sex and the City, Gossip Girl, How I Met Your Mother. So who loved watching those.
Those-
Anyone want to share what romantic ideas you got or you took away from those movies, or which couples you liked on the TV shows? Which ones were believable and why?
Where there are two, I'm gonna speak up here. Two of them kind of draw my attention because they stayed with me among this list for a long time. Of course, When Harry Met Sally is such a classic, but Friends and Sex and the City happened in my life in a very particular way. I severely broke my arm, which took me out of commission for practicing massage therapy. So I was at home. What do? I just needed to be, and at that time I was living in a cabin in the woods in Colorado, kind of like isolated, my sanctuary type of deal, you know? So didn't have any people around. So needed friends, and friends was giving me that, you know, spending the day at a coffee shop with my friends. The other one, Sex and the City, I'm spending my night or my evening, you know, with my girls. Because I'm not a person, you know, you see sometimes the women, like they're a group of like 5, 6 of them together floating around. It doesn't happen like that with me at all. I'm more like a solo type of person. I can have one walking with me, but a group of them, oh my God. So Sex and the City gave me that feeling, you know, spending time with my girls, and it's about the feeling of love and understood and heard, and being among people that resonates well with you and makes you feel good. And so that's why I like those movie shows. I mean,
Thank
TV
you.
shows and movie
Thank
too. Sex and the City came up with a movie too.
I know that
was-
we're getting short on time, so I'm just going to move ahead. I'm going to tell you some pickup lines that I think are horrible. They're probably so old and they're jokey, but remember, flirting is that light and fun. But can you imagine if someone came up to you and said, "Do you have a Band-Aid? Because I scraped my knee and it's falling for you." Right? Do you have a map? I'm getting lost in your eyes.
Mhm.
Even if there wasn't gravity on Earth, I'd still fall for you. Oh my goodness. And of course, there are those old pickup lines about what sign are you and all of these things, right? That we've probably heard, and oh my goodness. So funny. I love the pictures. I think that when we see people happy together, no matter what they're doing, it's inspiring. It reminds us that we have the potential to have that closeness with another person or many people in our life. I would love to know what you consider romantic. And I wish we had more time to go through it. Maybe another time we'll have a follow-up and we'll talk about that. But for what I want to leave you with, a couple thoughts that romance through our years, right? That flirting and romance need to evolve with your relationship. They continue throughout. So if you're feeling somewhat distant, it's just a signal to you of where and how you can pick up and give it a little more spark and ignition. And I'm going to get there. You can communicate openly about your needs and desires on a regular basis. And that's one way of keeping that spark alive. And we do it through the lens of gratitude rather than the lens of what's lacking. Instead of pointing a finger and say, "Hey, you don't write me love notes anymore, and you don't bring me flowers anymore." And instead, it could be, you know, we want to catch him or her doing something good. So when you catch that someone, your partner or somebody in your life has done something that you liked, you want to acknowledge that with gratitude. Hey, I really appreciate you called me this morning, or you texted me this morning and you were thinking about me, and I love that. And you want to acknowledge it through the lens of gratitude. And by doing that, you're letting the person know what they can do to keep making you happy. So you want to continue to invest effort in keeping your relationship vibrant and fulfilling. It's never up to the other person to do. If you're feeling that something is missing, that's a signal for you to express yourself better and to show and do more through the lens of gratitude. Okay. Relationships, they're the center of our happiness, the center of fulfillment. As we learn to really love ourselves and know ourselves, accept ourselves, the things that we like about ourselves, the things that we appreciate from where we were to where we are, that we really enjoy about ourselves, then we're able to be more light, able to be more silly, able to be that happier, engaging, open, flirty extension, and give that to others. And we remember that if we're sitting like this, we're sending a signal. And if we're leaning in with a smile, we're sending a signal. So be aware of your verbal and nonverbal signals that are all sending messages of interest, level of interest and attraction in the moments, and in creating the experiences to engage with other people. Okay, so if you are getting closer to someone, there are a couple things that you can do right now to experience more connectivity and fun. And one of them is maintain your eye contact for that extra second. Check in to see if you're smiling, because your smile is the most important and attractive feature. Use light, playful touch. So if you haven't been really paying attention to your body language, tune in today and purposefully touch someone today. Touch them on their arm and notice how it feels to you, and notice the response in them. And give out a compliment. That's my third thing today. Give out a compliment today, but give it genuinely. Give it specifically. Thank and tell somebody something that you love, okay? And if you want to take something even deeper, you can write it in a note. You can plan a thoughtful surprise, and you can look to create special rituals. Maybe it's a walk after dinner. Maybe it's something like that. And I just wanted to leave you with some takeaway quotes that I like. The only thing that we never get enough of is love. And the only thing we never give enough of is love. Henry Miller. There's only one happiness in this life: to love and be loved. George Sand was actually a woman. And a smile is the shortest distance between two hearts. Now, the original quote, I believe, says between two people, but I like hearts, and I love that a smile is the shortest distance between two hearts. So thank you so much for sharing openly with me today and having a little love.
Thank you so much, Amy. If you want to stop the share,
Yeah.
we'll close this up. Thank you again, everyone, for being here, for your participation and contribution. And next week, it'll be Arlen McLaren. Her topic is how to monetize your social media presence. So thank you again, Amy. Such a wonderful conversation. And I love the engagement by everyone in this group. So hopefully we'll see you back here again next week. We'll schedule a follow-up, Amy, for maybe October or whenever I have the next opening.
Awesome.
This is just such a great topic. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great day, great weekend. See you next week. Bye-bye.